Hey everybody, welcome back to my third video in consecutive weeks. Who'da thunk? Appreciate you being here. I'm going to give a slight introduction to sort of where things are going with this particular drum and some obstacles I've run into and some solutions I've got that I'm going to work on and put in the next video. And I'll show you the progress of how it's been coming along. The stuff I'm going to show you in the video after this little intro is getting to this point, and also showing the insertion of really quite a lovely air vent. I'm really happy with how that turned out. I think you'll see that this is the second re-ring, or the second set of re-rings that I did. The first one was oversized. This one was even oversized, but this one had a bigger problem. I didn't cut the angles properly, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I continued, and the angles were too sharp, and it resulted in really terrible joints. I don't know if I thought it would be okay. I really don't know what I was thinking, but I kept going anyway and went ahead and inserted them, and I'm really happy, like really happy with the joint between, let's see if it'll focus for you, between the joint of the original shell and the re-ring. But the segments are just terrible. And so I've come up with a solution. One possibility would be just to cut the entire thing out. But the problem with cutting it out all the way, as you'll see, is I have to work backward. I fit the cut of the shell to the size of the re-ring. And I don't have a lot of shell left to go, and so I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do, and this will be in the next video after the one you're going to watch that shows the insertion of these and so on, I'm going to find some other wood that I have available. I'd like to use walnut, but I don't know if I have enough in stock, and scrap pieces in my shop. But I'm going to go ahead and trim back this re-ring all the way to where it's flat and flush right there. So this bevel I have, which is just I'll show you later why that's there. I'll cut it all the way back to there, and then I will insert the new re-ring, or the second re-ring. And I think that'll be okay. I'll offset it. The joints are better closer that direction, outward. They're worse going inward, and so the worst of it I think will be covered up that way, and there won't be any compromise of strength, integrity to the shell. So in the meantime, before I get to that, which will be the next video, I hope you enjoy what's to come. As those of you know who've been watching the channel for a while, or at least the last few videos, just the last 2 or 3 drums, when I've done the inlaid re-rings, the problem that I've had with that is being able to make small enough incremental movements on my fences to allow perfectly accurate fitting of the re-rings in the recess that I cut. It's so simple, I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Scrap block of wood, bolted firmly, screwed firmly to the tabletop, piece of threaded bar, an old bolt of some sort, cut the head off for a different project, up against my movable fence. The other fence is locked in place. Rotate the fences, or rotate the drum against the fences. It goes against the blade that's spinning nice and fast. And when I need to make just a little bit more room, just a hair more room, I pull that out. This is threaded in place. You can see that there's no give in it whatsoever. And when it seats up tight like that, I will have consistent and accurate movements. Okay, I have no idea if this thing's been recording or not. It just shut off on its own, but we're at 41% battery power, so I'm a little bit confused. We're very nearly there on the fit, so we're taking very small increments over here on the fence. We'll see where we're at. Is it recording? Yes, it's recording. Okay. Wow, that's close. Okay, we're just going to do a quarter turn this time. See where that gets us. Is perfect. Look at that. It's the next day. The governor has put the state in its entirety officially on lockdown starting tonight at 11:59. I've got my home office set up. Right above there, actually, upstairs, and that's going to give me extra time to work. Now, last night I was up kind of late working last night. I was having camera and battery issues. I didn't make a lot of progress, but a little bit's happened since the last thing you saw here. So the re-rings have been inserted, and there are a couple places where the original bevel of the shell is getting in the way. So I mean, I'll have to take it down. I'll have to sand it down a little bit further just to clear that out. But I'm going to wait to do that until I begin cutting the bearing edges. It'll be a lot easier to sand down evenly when I have less material to sand down. Burned a little bit. Again, not worried about that because it's going to go down a little bit further Here's a good example of a spot where the inside bevel of the previous version of the same shell cut in a little bit further. The inside bevel here is just to make sure I can get the router bit, this router bit, up far enough to cut the inside of the rings. They're rough cut. And before the next step, normally, the next big step is to mill out the inside of the shell. But before I do that, I want to do an inlaid air vent. I forgot to push record again. Okay, here's what's going on. Several drums ago, I did a series of plugs like this, air vents like this, and the shell split. I wanted to make sure that wasn't a problem this time. So, I put the hose clamps on to make sure there wouldn't be a problem, just to give that extra reinforcement. Now, once this is glued in place, it offers its own reinforcement. It fit in just fine. I put the hose clamps on just as added insurance. The tape is there to make sure the hose clamps don't mar the surface, and we made it. Also, so I wasn't driving too much of the plug through the shell, I cut it in half on the table saw. All this actually looks very good. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I love how it looks. I love the larger bore for the air vent. The walnut complements the walnut, of course. And the next step is to mill out the inside of the shell. Then it will be bearing edges, snare beds, and then hoops and drum heads. Can't really do the entire drum hoop until I have the drum heads, but those will sort of probably be done in concert because I want to do the drum heads a little bit different. Not the drum heads. I want to do the drum hoops a little bit differently. Good grief. I'm all over the place mentally today. Sorry. We're going to end it here. Bye.